Greetings, gamers! Welcome back to the Hoser House. But it's not about the Hoser House, it's about the house rules. Today we're going to be talking about rules that I use for DBA, DBN, and other rules that also use similar systems. And hopefully we're going to get to basing at some point. A couple of personal notes, first of all. Corona, it's not just another beer from Mexico. I think everything's going to be okay and under control, but now we know your nice neighbors, when the doo-doo hits the fan, are going to hoard up all the food, medicine, and toilet paper. A little disappointing. On a happier note, I want to thank Tim. Say hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
For being the filmer behind the camera. It's not a camera, it's a phone. And editor and gaming partner for years. Without Tim around, I'd be playing very few miniatures. Gaming. All right, so let's get to the rules. As you saw from episode 1, the Napoleonic battle, I'm using a variant of DBA, DBN, where you just have a stand be like a whole brigade of maybe up to 2,500 men. And normally in DBA, DBN, each side has 12 stands. And that could represent 20,000 men. So let's get to the rules. I'm going to start with the most important rules that I use or I'm influenced by. Let me put my reading glasses on. And it all started with this. De Bellis Antiquitatis by Phil Barker and Sue Laughlin Barker. Now, Wargames Research Group has been not in the business, they are the business. Since the 70s, they've been cranking out rules which were the standard for playing any sort of miniature games. But with this, they revolutionized the industry because they reset basing at 40 millimeters wide for most figures, for most rules throughout the industry, which was a godsend because before that it was chaos. You had, every different rule set had a different set of basing for the figures, and it was just not compatible. Now you have a great deal of compatibility with your DBA basing. This is DBA 2, the Bellis Antiquitatis 2nd edition. I usually just stick to the 1st edition of anything. I don't own 5th edition D&D. I don't own 4th edition. I don't own 3rd edition. I get the basic concept from the 1st edition. And from that, I'm going to develop my house rules, and I really don't need to go to further editions. However, this is a nice edition, and you can get this. Just Google WRG DBA miniatures rules, online free PDF. So revolutionizing the industry, changing most rules to 40 millimeter wide bases. Let me give you another example. If you want to play fantasy, they also have Hordes of the Things, which is like DBA, but for fantasy. So if you want to use orcs, you want to use goblins, you want to use reptile men, you want to use whatever. This is very similar to DBA 2nd edition. It has a couple of different troop types, but basically, again, 12 stands per side. A stand could be thousands of guys. So I'm not sure if you can get this on PDF. Probably just Google Hordes of the Things, HOTT rules, and they might be available on PDF. By the way, DBA is now out in its 3rd edition. I like the changes they made, but I had already made those changes in my house rules. So, like I said, I get the concept from the 1st edition, and I played probably don't need to go to further editions. But hot, if you want to do fantasy, it's specific for fantasy, but you could use DBA just as well for fantasy. Here's an example of the industry changer, Armati by Ron Conliffe. Rules and lists for ancient, medieval, and Renaissance wargaming. Okay, this covers the whole range, and again, they are using DBA basing. Now we're doing a Napoleonics campaign, so let's get to Napoleonics, Napoleonic basing, Napoleonic troops, how to organize them into units. Now, kudos to Sam Mustafa for LaSalle. LaSalle is a great Napoleonic set of rules. He recommends DBA basing for the figures. However, he gives you the option of using Napoleon's battles basing. So the thing is that most rules for most periods, Civil War, American Civil War, Napoleonics, you know, from ancients all the way up to before World War I, they're using DBA basing. But he gives you the option to use Napoleon's battles, and I'll get to that in a second, why that is. Napoleon's battles basing. Okay. Here is the big bad. The big bad, Napoleon's battles. Now, they have their own set of basing. It's not one stand per unit. You could have 6 to 8 stands in a unit, a brigade. So that could be 24 to 36 figures for infantry, say, for a brigade. Whereas in DBA, you have one stand of 4 figures representing a brigade. Now, the problem with Napoleon's battles, and it's a good set of rules, it's complicated, the print is small, there's different sheets for every country available, so you kind of have, the troop types are not consistent. Like in DBA, they vary from nation to nation, the stats are different. Here's my take on Napoleon's battles, and it's not to put down the rules, it's just to say what the state of the basing is regarding DBA. They didn't go with DBA basing. 90%, in my estimation, 90% of the figures available online, if you want to buy some Napoleonic figures, say, from China or even local, are based for Napoleon's battles. About 90% of the figures available online, say at eBay, are based for Napoleon's battles. However, again, in my estimation, I would say 90% of the people playing Napoleonics don't play Napoleon's battles. So we have a conundrum there in that everybody's basing for Napoleon's battles instead of DBA or DBN, and nobody is actually, very few people, as far as I can tell, are actually playing Napoleon's battles. Two more rules that don't use DBA basing. So you see at the American Civil War period, Napoleonic period, there's a balk in using DBA's industry standard basing for basing your figures. Fire and Fury, a great set of American Civil War rules, but again, a brigade is like 24 to 36 guys instead of one stand, and they have their own basing system, like 1 inch by 1 inch for a stand, and you would need like 6 to 8 stands for a brigade instead of one stand of 4 figures in DBA, DBN. There's a version of Napoleonics based on Fire and Fury, because Age of Eagles, again, they base for Napoleon's battles, even though it's not Napoleon's battles, and It's unfortunate that some of the later period, American Civil War and Napoleonics, are not all going to the industry standard, which was set by the Bellas Antiquitates and WRG decades ago. So, that being said, I want to show you what a unit looks like in, say, Napoleon's battles versus DBA. So, or DBN. The Bellas Napoleonics is the DBA version for Napoleonics by two very nice gentlemen from England. You could Google Kisser, KISR, Keep It Simple Rules, DBN, and you'll get, you can download, I believe their second version for free. I have that on my computer. And it's DBA for Napoleonics with DBA basing. Okay, so let's take it to the table and see what units look like. Okay, be right back.